Is AI making us dumber? Does the overuse of AI or does the use of AI, just generally speaking, somehow reduce our cognitive capacities, our abilities to reason, our critical thinking skills, our ability to analyze problems, to approach issues creatively, to work together in a collaborative environment to reach a conclusion? Is AI negatively impacting those abilities? So, I've been having a few conversations lately, both with friends and people that I work with. In fact, this video is inspired by an article that a teacher that I work with sent me, and it's gotten me thinking about how AI is impacting, first and foremost, education, because I, as a teacher, my students, of course, use AI tools on a daily basis. I use AI tools on a daily basis. In fact, that's what I created this thumbnail with. I put in my picture and asked it to create a YouTube thumbnail for me for this video. I'm not quite sure that really looks like me. I mean, on the one hand, I'm a little flattered, but I think it kind of touched up my picture a little bit. But on the other hand, it kind of changed some of my facial features and it's kind of disturbing me. So I'm going to try not to look at it too much here. But yeah, I use ChatGPT. My students use ChatGPT. I know they do, oftentimes probably more than they should, but different conversation for a different day. But the big question here is with the prevalence of these tools, because of how commonly they're used both by students and people in the working world. I don't have to tell you this. What sort of impact are these tools going to have? And this is one of those questions that I've found myself not really thinking about a lot over the years, even though I have a background in philosophy, even though I was deeply influenced, like as an undergrad, I read Martin Heidegger's essay, What is Technology? And so I've been thinking about this idea that technology influences and shapes us in very profound ways, but I haven't really given much thought to how AI factors into that and how AI might actually be shaping us. And I think the title of this video, for example, builds off of when I teach my introduction to philosophy class. Oftentimes, towards the end of the class, I'll have my students read Nicholas Carr's essay, Is Google Making Us Stupid? Or I think it's Is Google Making Us Dumber? I can't actually remember what the title is. I'll link that essay in the description of this video for you to reference. But one of Carr's points is that by offloading our reasoning and research skills, that we have to recognize that there is something that we're giving up with these technologies. And we also have to recognize the ways in which these technologies may be influencing and changing our basic thought patterns and processes. So, I just wanted to briefly share the article that I read, as well as some of the research that I subsequently looked up afterwards. And I would love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've noticed in yourself, maybe how AI is impacting you. I will say that I have an initial reluctance to use AI. I usually only use like Chat GPT for things that I don't really want to do, or maybe then use it to like proofread or something. But we have seen a prevalence of AI generated images. AI is taking over things like art and writing, things that don't. I mean, initially, my gut reaction is to really push back against that. Like, why are we seeing so much AI generated art? And why do we want to have so much AI generated writing? I mean, don't we read to connect with people on like this basic human level? Anyway, that's my gut reaction. But I want to read this and think about this within terms of AI's impact on cognitive ability, but also its potential impact on education. So this is the first article that was shared with me. AI dependency threatens cognitive skills, experts warn. This is back from January of this year. It's a really short article. I'll link it in the description of this video, but it says artificial intelligence platforms like ChatGPT have become very prominent tools for students, professionals, but recent studies indicate that over reliance on these technologies may impair critical cognitive functions. And this is one of the things that stood out to me here. A collaborative study by Insoft and Dr. Tsai, a leading psychologist, revealed that 58.1% of users reported increased dependence on AI tools for decision making. Now, I will say, and this is a personal pet peeve of mine. I was unable to find this first study that's referenced. It's one of my big pet peeves for science reporting and science articles when they don't actually list the source. They just quote the source but don't provide an actual citation. I'm not sure why that's such common practice in articles like this, but what I emphasize to my students is cite, cite, cite. Always tell people where you're getting this information from. And I was actually unable to find this article. So if anybody's able to find this study, I'm assuming that it's published in an article form. Please send it to me. But I was able to find this article published in the journal Societies supporting this perspective. A study published in Societies found a significant negative correlation between frequent AI tool usage and critical thinking skills. And this is kind of what sent me down the rabbit hole and why I wanted to share it with you. I'll come back to this article mentioned here, but first, I want to share with you a different article that I found. This article published by numerous authors. And again, I'll link all of these sources that I'm referencing so you don't have the same problem that I did. From Tools to Threat, a reflection on the impact of artificial intelligence chatbots on cognitive health. And I'm just going to read through the introduction and then a little bit of the body, and then you can reference this and read it through yourself if you want to. But the article starts off: the integration of artificial intelligence chatbots into our daily routines has generated a discourse on their potential impact on cognitive health. As a result, users often find themselves engaging with these chatbots in a manner that is more conversational than transactional. This article brings up a really interesting distinction that I haven't really thought about a lot, and that's the kind of passive reception of information from websites like Wikipedia, in which I'm reading information from the website, and the transactional conversations that I have with programs like ChatGPT. And this article suggests that there's research to suggest, I should say, that the transactional interactions that people have with ChatGPT actually leads them to like more so believe the information, almost like let down the critical thinking barriers that we normally have when we passively read information from a website. That there's somehow this difference that our brain makes in reading information from a Wikipedia page versus getting information from a chatbot. And the weird difference is that we're like more likely to believe the chatbot, even though like Wikipedia, for all of its problems, they're like, citing sources and making references and stuff like that. We're still more likely to believe the chatbot, which is kind of weird to me. But this is where it gets into that distinction. While search engines and platforms like Wikipedia provide users with vast amounts of informations, AIC, those are those chat represent a significant evolution in how humans interact with technology. AIC are not just repositories of information, they simulate human conversation, adapt to user inputs, and can provide personalized responses. I guess that's the big difference there. The dynamic interaction could lead to a different kind of cognitive reliance compared to static information sources. Furthermore, the immediacy and conversational nature of these chatbots can foster a deep sense of trust and reliance in users, potentially influencing cognitive process differently than traditional search engines. And that just kind of blew my mind. I'm not even sure what to really make of that. The potential for these chatbots to shape human cognition extends beyond mere information retrieval. It could encompass the very nature of human computer interaction, decision making process, and even emotional responses. Because this is the thing that I've come across recently. People use things like ChatGPT to have like intimate conversations, to talk about how they're feeling emotionally, to help them, almost like to treat it almost like a therapist, which maybe hopefully there's been other research done on that. But again, that seems deeply problematic to me. The distinction between passive consumption of information, such as from sites like Wikipedia, and active engagement with AIC is crucial. And AIC here means referring to those artificial intelligence chatbots. That's the abbreviation. While both search engines and AIC provide information, the latter does so in a manner that can mimic human interaction. And I guess that's why we're more receptive of it, leading to unique cognitive implications. Now they say this is in an opinion article, but it's a opinion article in the sense that they're not doing any sort of investigative studies or running any trials or anything like that. They're just kind of summarizing the current literature that's out there. So it's not an opinion article in the sense that they're just spouting off the first thing that comes off of their head. As you can see, this is a academic article. They've cited their sources, which you can reference yourself. But this opinion article investigates the concept that an over reliance on artificial intelligence chatbots could potentially lead to cognitive decline, i.e., cognitive atrophy. So, this article is suggesting that based off of the research that we have, research that includes research studies into over reliance on internet usage and over reliance on other tools, that this suggests a similar process could happen with our over reliance on these chatbots, and that subsequently could result in cognitive decline. And this is actually what the second article that I found points out. So here is the second article, and this is the article that was referenced in that initial website that I read at the beginning of this video. AI tools in society, impacts on cognitive offloading. That's putting offloading cognitive task onto chat gpt or programs like it, on cognitive offloading in the future of critical thinking. And look at this abstract. This study investigates the relationship between AI tool usage and critical thinking skills, focusing on cognitive offloading as a mediating factor. Utilizing a mixed method approach, we conducted surveys and in depth interviews in 666 participants across diverse age groups and educational backgrounds. And listen to this. The finding revealed a significant negative correlation between frequent AI tool usage and critical thinking abilities, mediated by increased cognitive offloading. Younger participants exhibited higher dependence upon AI tools and lower critical thinking scores compared to older participants. Furthermore, higher educational attainment was associated with better critical thinking skills, regardless of AI usage, which is an interesting kind of side product that's produced here. These results highlight the potential cognitive cost of AI tool reliance, emphasizing the need for educational strategies that promote critical thinking engagement with AI technologies. Now, I want to emphasize that this is just one study. Hopefully, and I'm guessing that there's going to be many more studies to follow this. There's probably already a lot of studies out there. This is just what I came across in my read this morning. But what we have here is this suggestion that over reliance on AI is definitely, or could definitely, have negative cognitive impacts on us. And this undoubtedly carries tremendous implications, especially in an educational context, like the extent to which we encourage the use of tools like ChatGPT, and whether or not we can think of, because this is one of the common comparisons that's often brought up in these conversations, that we should, for proponents of AI chatbots, that we should use these chatbots as a tool, akin to the analogy that's often drawn is to that of the calculator, in the same way that calculators can help us reach more advanced stages in mathematical learning, so too maybe can ChatGPT help us to reach more advanced stages in our writing abilities, for examples. But what we need to recognize here is that these chatbots carry with it new implications for our learning abilities and impact us, I think, in deeper and more fundamentally different ways. What exactly this means for education, I don't know. That's well beyond the scope of what I'm capable of talking about. But what it means for us personally too, what it means for us as humans is this a route that we want to continue to go down? And if we continue to go down this route, what exactly is the impact going to be on our basic cognitive abilities, on our critical thinking skills? And that's really what I'm most concerned about. But anyway, I just wanted to throw all of that information at you. I'll keep this video short. Please, by all means, let me know what you think about this, whether or not you think the over reliance on AI is going to be a problem. If it already is a problem, have you noticed this within yourself? And I'll see you all next time.